We are now getting deep into season one. We're approaching the last few episodes, and I believe they may have saved the best for last. Because, in my opinion, season one, episode 9 of Tracker is the best episode yet to date. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Entertainment. Here to review the episode that was called Aurora. It was episode 9 of season 1, and I was beginning to lose a bit of faith in Tracker. I think it's been poor probably since, I want to say, the first, maybe the fourth episode. I feel like since then it's been on the decline a little bit. Now, there was a good episode in there. I believe it might have been, was it 5 or... There was an episode I thought was pretty good in the middle of that bunch. But other than that, I do think a lot of them were just mediocre, average. The one about the horse was really poor. I think that was a low point for the series. And things were becoming stale. Things were becoming predictable. We know the formula now for Tracker. We know what it happened. It starts with Colter accepting a job. He then investigates. He will find the person responsible for kidnapping or whatever. Then he will take them out, he will save the kidnapped person, and he will return them home to their family and collect his reward. That's essentially what happens in Tracker. It's pretty much the same formula. Now, this episode didn't really get away from that. The same formula was there, but it was by far the most interesting episode. There was a different take. We had like a supernatural, possibly horror element to this episode, and we had a who did it kind of feel. You know, a lot of times Tracker's kind of clear cut and you're just waiting there, you're sitting waiting on Colter Shaw saving the day. But with this episode, we literally didn't know about the disappearance of Lana. We didn't know who took her. We didn't know if she was in danger, if she was going to be killed, who was responsible for this, and it kind of did keep you guessing throughout the episode. My only problem is, again, it's another one and done. This was easily enough. This story could have been to be continued. We could have seen this go into episode 10. They could have half this story, put the first half on episode 9, and then the second half into episode 10. But as we've seen so far with this Tracker this season, they've not done that. They want to wrap up every little investigation in that episode, and it's kind of annoying. Once again, we didn't get any more with Colter and his brother, his family. However, he did touch on it multiple times in this episode when talking to other characters. They were talking about their childhood life, that, you know, they're answering for the sins of their family, and we did hear Colter at least acknowledge his background. Now, they didn't really play any more on it, he just acknowledged it, but that's a step in the right direction, because for me, they've kind of completely forgotten about that since the first few episodes. And I know in episode 7, Renee was talking to it with Bob, but I mean, in terms of Colter and in terms of us learning any more, it's been nothing. So hopefully in the last 4 episodes, they do dive more into Colter's issues. So yeah, let's get into this episode then. Colter meets with a widower who has been offering a 30k reward for his daughter. The only problem is his daughter hasn't been seen in 3 years. The police were investigating and they pretty much have said she's dead. They can't confirm it, but they've given up. They've got the body of her friend. Her friend Jamie was washed up 3 years ago, but they never found Lana. And this, I guess, gives her father, Gavin Russo, hope to believe that she's still out there. He contacts Colter Shaw. Colter's like, you know, it's 3 years. I'm going to be honest with you, the likelihood of me finding her is slim. If the police were looking, if the police tried to find her, what makes you think she's alive? And then Gavin produces like a picture on a newspaper, very glary. You couldn't really make it out, low resolution for sure, but he was adamant that it's his daughter. So Colter tracks down the photographer. He wants him to get in contact if he has the original photos. He goes to the police station. We get introduced to the cop, Detective Helen Brock, who I thought was a pretty good character in this episode. She works alongside Colter. She is reluctant to believe that Lana could still be alive, but she's willing to help with the investigation. They get in contact with the photographer, and it turns out the photograph is like a 99.8% match. So Lana, 3 weeks ago, was alive in the newspaper. The newspaper photo's legit. Lana could still be out there. So they go and investigate. There was like videos of a so-called haunted hospital where Lana and her friends they were like social outcasts at school. So they had a passion for spiritual world and things like that. So they believed possibly in ghosts, and they went like ghost hunting. They had a lot of video recordings, and the hospital was one place that they'd went to. So Colter went and he spoke with one of their friends, a male who had moved away, and I don't think they were kind of leading that the male guy could have possibly had been responsible for this. I believe his name was Toby, but he said, look, he doesn't have nothing to do with it. He was friends with them, but he moved away. And Toby reveals that he'd actually got like a cut. Something cut him while they were investigating, and this kind of sparked Coulter's interest because obviously this guy has been physically hurt, so Colter believes there could be something legit here. So him and the police officer, Officer Detective Helen Brock, they go and check out the abandoned hospital, and they find some evidence. And then Colter, when he's looking back later on at the videos, he sees like a heat magnet. So he realised that that was from a person, not a ghost. And they then, I guess, confirmed that there must be somebody at the hospital that attacked the two girls. And we also know that Toby had a physical marking on his body. So someone was definitely there. Someone has definitely been physical with the people, with the kids. So Colter goes back to the hospital, the abandoned hospital with Detective Helen Brooke, and there's a guy in there. Colter manages to chase him down. Turns out though he's just some homeless dude living in the hospital, so he doesn't really know anything, but he did see a girl who he describes as Lana Russo in a yellow raincoat, while there was someone alongside her in a black raincoat. This gets Detective Helen Brock to start running around in her mind. She brings this up, draws comparisons to a similar case years ago where some guy by the name of Errol Price basically did the same thing with the same raincoat, same colours, at the river, at the water, and he murdered a small child. So she wants to make sure that this is not the same guy. He's been locked up for 5 years, but they want answers. So Colter manages to go and get some visitation. He speaks with Errol Price, who was played by Jed Reese, by the way, and I think this guy was a really good actor. He was only in one scene and possibly maybe 2 minutes here, but this guy was convincing as a, psychotic, evil man. You really did sense that. He was a really good actor. So he speaks about what he done, and he says he repents for what he done. But as soon as Colter brings up one of the names that he has been in contact with, he sort of freaks out and stops talking to Colter. So Colter then goes back and shares this information with Helen Brock. They do some research into people that Errol Price has been in contact with, and then Colter goes and visits his sister, who was called Maeve Price. So we've seen her earlier in the episode with Errol Price. She invites Colter into her house, and she tries to I'm assuming she's trying to poison Colter or put some sort of drugs in his tea, because she offers to make him tea, but Colter manages to catch on. He sees some red ribbon, and there was red ribbon in the hospital because red ribbon was supposedly tied to the witch, and that's what Lana and her friends came across. So we're led to believe that Maeve then was the one that planted that red ribbon to lure those friends in there. So Colter manages to put two and two together. He checks out the house with his gun. There's no one there, but Maeve is onto him, and Maeve then makes a run for it. Colter chases her down into the basement. She attacks him from behind with a taser. She then says she's going to kill Colter, but she tries to choke him out with this wiring, this cable. Colter though smashes her off the top of the roof. He just lifts his body up and she cracks the back of her head, knocks her out. He then ties her up, and he looks in this doorway that's down in the basement, and we see that Lana is indeed there. She is being kidnapped. She's been chained up, and Colter rescues her. It turns out that Lana had been kidnapped for 3 years, and the one time that they did see the photo in the newspaper, it was because Maeve's house was getting decorated or something like that, and she feared that they would find Lana, so she took her to work, but she managed to escape for 5 minutes, and that kind of gave her away, because the blood place, the giving blood stall that we seen in the picture, we also seen one of those blood bags in Maeve's house. So you put the dots together, and yeah, it turns out that Maeve was just following up with what her brother was doing, and both Errol Price and Maeve Price were just failures, I guess, of a fucked up childhood. So yeah, she didn't kill her victim, unlike her brother. We don't know why. I think she was just more into torturing because her and her brother got tortured. Why did Errol Price though kill that boy 10 years ago or whenever it was? We don't exactly know that, but we get the reuniting of Lana and her father Gavin, and Detective Helen Brooke kept calling Colter homeschool because he mentioned he was homeschooled, which I thought was pretty funny. And that is it. We see Colter go on his way after rescuing Lana Brooke, and we get a good ending to the episode. It was predictable in a sense that we knew probably Colter was going to find Lana and everyone was going to live happily ever after, but I did think there was some good suspense with not knowing what had actually happened to Lana or who had took Lana and the whole mystery behind it. I mean, at first I think they were trying to lead us to believe that Gavin Russo, the father, was maybe responsible. Then they tried to possibly throw it in the direction of Toby, Lana's friend. Then we have the homeless guy in there, and then they lead you to believe that it could have possibly been Errol Price's accomplice, whether it be his roommate or whatever. But it turns out it was indeed his sister that was doing it. So yeah, good episode of Tracker, best episode for me of the series. I am going to give it an 8 out of 10. Really enjoyed it. Like I said, I think this will be hard to beat. But my only problem is it just did feel rushed, I think, towards the end. And that's because it's just a one episode. It's one and done. There's no reason why this couldn't be continued into episode 10. And I think that would give these stories, it would give these investigations a little bit more life. You know, it would give them more importance, I think, to us as the viewers. Because as good as some of the characters are that they introduce, it's hard to feel anything towards them because you know that after this episode you're never going to see them again. In Tracker, we keep getting introduced to new characters every episode and then they just disappear. The only characters that we regularly get is Colter, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, we do get Bob, we get the two lesbian chicks, and we get Renee, but Renee, out of them all, she's probably the one with the second most screen time, but more often than not, it's literally Colter and everybody else is one and done, and it's hard to get invested in characters when you just get to know them for like 5 minutes and then they're gone. You know, it's disappointing that way. I would like to be a bit more continuity, I think, between the shows and the episodes and characters, but we'll just have to settle for what we've got, guys. That's a good episode. I am giving it an 8 out of 10. Let me know what you thought down below, and I will catch you in the next one. 4 episodes to go. Hopefully we've saved the best for last, and we are getting Dean from Supernatural, so that should be interesting. Jensen Ackles, that should be interesting, guys. Catch you in the next one. Till then, peace.